So there are different phases of life. You have to discover what is working for you at a particular time. If you're going to build, you must start with getting the necessary experience. Don't ever waste any opportunity. Don't ever waste it. Sometimes what you're doing may be what you think even is beneath you. And I'll tell you why I say that. Let me take you back to when I started. Hello there. We're going to be talking about something very important today. And what we're going to be talking about is how to build. Interestingly, I'm a builder, architect, builder. And you know, every area of your life, you must know how to build. Let me take it back to my favorite book, the Word of God. It says, a wise woman builds her own home. And everything in life you see that you have to build one block after the other. And so today we'll talk about it. How do you even start building? How? You remember we discussed about everything that you need to develop being inside you. And I'll take you back. You were created by the Creator, fearfully and wonderfully made. The Bible talks about when God created us, He breathed into us the breath of life. You actually have the breath of life inside you. Guess what that makes you? It makes you a creative being. You have all the skills to make you a creator inside you. So what are you waiting for? Let's start building. Then you ask me, how do you build? First of all, don't forget you've discovered yourself. You have the skills, you have the abilities, you have the confidence, you have the courage to start. Those distractions, you have put them behind you. You're learning skills. You're being mentored. You're working on your talent and skills. And start putting it to use. Let me take you back to when I started. As a young graduate, I found myself entering life and totally feeling unequipped. And I'll tell you why. Though you have a master's degree, you see a whole world ahead of you. You don't even know where do you start from. Luckily, you know, the government gives you this NYC, which is, for me, is like a buffer. And for everyone out there who is either not there yet or is there now, just see your NYC year as a buffer and the time for you to really set up this life. I was posted to a firm of architects, practicing architects here in Ibadan. And there I discovered that I saw many big architects starting work with them who just threw me into the place. And I tried to do that for a lot of young people that come into my office. What they are not prepared for at all, they just push you into it. I remember they sent me to a site, go and handle the site. And when an architect is on site, you chair the meeting. Chair of this meeting. All the people who were bigger and more experienced than me were there. Engineers, contractor, name it. And I sat there. But to the glory of God, I mumbled and stumbled and survived that first meeting. I don't know if I did well, don't ask me. But it was the first step. And though I went back home not confident in myself that I had done well, that's okay. It didn't stop me from going back the second time. Now, take a lesson. Many of you start something. Your first step, feel that you didn't do well. You know. Even when nobody else tells you, you know it in yourself. You didn't do well. It's not an excuse. So next time I went, I was better equipped. I made sure I studied the minutes of meetings, saw the way they conduct the meetings, and got a bit more confident in taking charge. Next meeting, I wasn't told to chair. I hope it wasn't because I didn't do too well. But whatever it was, I sat back, observed, took the notes, and from there, I started getting experience. Now, I want to tell you that there's no experience that you're passing through that is not an added knowledge onto you for your future. You know, some people just think NYC year is a year to just play, NYSC year is a year to just not gain anything. No, take it serious. It's your first building block to a successful life in the future. And I got so much of that. Now, apart from work, and this is where you also need to pay attention. Apart from work, there are extracurricular activities that you must be a part of. That was where I started my journey into association. There's no one that's an island, and you must not see yourself as working solo. If not, you don't get the necessary exposure. I started associating with colleagues, senior colleagues, my role models, getting acquainted with them so that I could learn something, I could glean something from them. And the treasures that I gleaned from them helped me in my journey of life. So I started by becoming a part of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. And so young people join associations, join clubs that have focus, that are leading somewhere that you can gain experience from. And that's what I did. And then, of course, after NYSC, because I don't think any of us that did service that year were employed by that firm. So we needed to move on. So luckily I got employed with an Israeli firm of architects. And this was a great opportunity for me also to have an international exposure right at my doorstep. So in my journey of building, after my youth service, I joined this Israeli firm of architects. And there was another phase of my life where I was able to get the experience that I needed for my own journey in life. And so, like I said, if you're going to build, you must start with getting the necessary experience. Don't ever waste any opportunity. Don't ever waste it. Sometimes what you're doing may be what you think even is beneath you. And I'll tell you why I say that. When I was with this Israeli firm of architects, as a young, fresh architect with brilliant ideas, I wanted to start showing off my skills, my talents. But I discovered that what they were giving me to do was what I felt in quotes was beneath me. Go and do details of staircase, of toilet, and they were bringing all the big jobs in from Israel. And I felt I could offer more. But whether I liked it or not, I humbled myself. And as I humbled myself and I did all the small details that they gave to me to do, I started building up myself even professionally. However, a builder must know the times and the seasons. And this is an important area for every one of us. As I was building my career, even from that small level, I knew that I had to start thinking of other areas of my life. Here am I, a young woman. What's next? Family, getting married, raising children. But from the kind of work I was doing like a 7:30 to 5 or 6 p.m. every day, including Saturdays. And I knew with that kind of lifestyle, nothing else was going to work except work. And you know, I talked to you about life being balanced. God wants you to be balanced in every area. Your spiritual life, your career, your home, family, relationships. You must have a balance. I didn't have a balance. In building and starting off, You must have balance. And so I decided, look, I needed a career that will help me to be able to combine all these different facets of my life without any part suffering or the other. So I went into teaching. I became a lecturer. I'm not saying a lecturer's job is any less than practice. However, for that time, it helped me to be able to adjust my time. I didn't have to be in the office from 7:30 to 5 p.m. every day, including Saturdays. I could choose time for my lectures, and that gave me time to start a family, build a home, and I just eased myself into that for 8 years. So there are different phases of life. You have to discover what is working for you at a particular time. And at the time I was lecturing, I put my all into it. And this is another aspect that you need to build up in building a career and building your life. The Bible says anything your hands find to do it with all your might. When I was a lecturer, I did it with all my might. I put in everything for my students. In fact, I made sure that I wasn't doing anything else but lecturing. I wasn't even one of those lecturers that were doing PP or cutting corners in any other way. I faced my career, my studio work with my students, my family life with my husband and kids, my church life, serving God, seeking His face for the future. I was just building a future. By this time, I was in my 30s, and I was still thinking of the future because I had a vision that I was going to get to the top of my career. How it was going to come, I'll tell you the truth, I don't know. So this is the truth about life. Sometimes it's not as if you have a clear-cut picture and path. No. But the passion in you to get to the top, you must never allow it to quench. Even when, in quotes, I was an ordinary lecturer, I knew I was going to be that extraordinary person that God was calling me to be. So never lose focus or sight of where you're going, nevertheless of whatever you're doing at that same time. Okay, so from lecturer, at a point I began to see, look, I was getting, what would I say now? Getting a little bit tired of that level and knowing that I had to move on to the next level. So at age 35, maybe not too young, maybe not too old, I took a bold step. I was going out of service. Service is comfort zone. I was getting a salary, very comfortable. I wasn't rich, not at all. I was comfortable. At the end of the month, the salary would come. But I wanted something more than that. So I took a very bold step. In fact, I remember people saying, you've done 8 years in service. If you wait for 2 more years, you'll qualify for a pension. Now, always listen to God. Listen to yourself. I was at a point that if I did not take a right decision, I could either have been sealed at that level, never gone out, or be content to be what I really wasn't cut out to be. So I thought to myself, 2 more years, get a pension, comfortable. But ask me, what do people who get pension? They really get at the end of the day. So I decided, no, I'll go out. And I went out. Went into a partnership with some other professional colleagues. And we started a firm, a consortium. But you can start with apparently nothing, but plenty from inside you. Plenty of dreams of where we could get to. And so we started as a partnership. I brought my skills, they brought theirs. We were lucky, somebody gave us one small office. This is where relationships come in. Build relationships. I told you from the beginning, nobody's an island. It is the relationships that you build that help you in your career path, that help you in your business. Somebody who believed in us gave us one room in Mokola. Anytime I drive past that place, I smile and I say, Father, thank you for where you have brought us to. One small room. And we started in the place, a small consortium. And the business started there. Soon, to the glory of God, we were able to afford to rent a building in Bodija. Old Bodija. I remember the first office. A consortium. 3 young people. Myself, the only female in the group, a young architect older than I was, and an engineer older than all of us. And that's how we started. But along the line, things didn't work. Now, just to let you know that when you start a journey, things don't always fall into the place. So what happens? Things were not working in the consortium because some of them had relationship issues that were affecting the business. So what do we do? Did I go back to where I was coming from? No. I decided that I had a vision to have my own business, to grow my own business. So I decided to go solo. Very interesting. It was at a time when there were very few women architects who were working for themselves. In fact, in the whole of Ibadan, there was only one who had a firm of architects. So what was Mrs. Adeniyi going to do, really? That was the question. But I had the courage. I believed so much in the God that had helped me so far. And I took up the challenge that, look, I will do something and I will make it by the grace of God. I was 35 years old. I had 3 small children. But I was determined by the grace of God to make it. No money. My husband was a young doctor. He was also, okay, because he's a little bit older than me, he had clocked 40. He was 41. He was also just going into private practice, starting his own hospital. So you can imagine what our economic level or financial status was. We didn't have money. We didn't have money. So how were we going to make it? He also took up a very small space to start his hospital. I needed a space for my office. So I went to one of my brothers. Relationship. Have a good relationship. Siblings, family. My younger brother, immediate younger brother, he was a banker. He was doing very well. And he lent me money to rent an office. Bless him. That small seed is what grew to be Emmy and Associates that we celebrated 30 years 2025. 30 years of God's faithfulness. From nothing, scratch, borrowing money to start an office. Now, don't be ashamed to borrow. But make sure that what you borrow, you are determined to pay back. I was determined. And I grew that office enough to pay back. But bless my brother, he said, no, that was what I sold it for. I got the money. And that prompts me to be able to help other people too. Somebody helped me to take off. And I help somebody else to take off. Because that is what building and growth is all about. God created me to be able to create, not just for myself, but to be able to recreate in the lives of other people. And this is how you can become great. Serving God, serving others, and God Himself will build you up. So that's the journey of how I built up my own business. That's as an architect. But maybe you're there, you're not an architect. You can also use these building blocks. Have courage, confidence, believe in yourself. Launch out. I launched out. Let me tell you, when I was launching out, I had advice from so many people. Don't do it. You're a woman. You have family. How can you face the business world? Shrug it off. I was determined. I was focused. Let me tell you, not only did I pray, worked very hard. By the next series, I'm going to tell you how hard I worked. Different areas, but I did work hard. Prayed hard and got help.